Ship's log, Cutter Sealab, December 2nd. Captain Popkin has asked me to fill in the missing days in this log. Maybe he thinks that if I write down everything I remember, it will help me get over the sight of those huge shark teeth inches from my face. We were sailing south, continuing GP's marine life survey, when Hurricane Melissa began to roar.
John, Jennifer, get below and sit tight. This is a bad one. You might try the radio.
What for? Listen to it.
This boat felt really big till just a few minutes ago.
I thought sharks were the worst thing you could find at sea.
Will GP be all right up there?
He has to stay at the wheel. If he doesn't head into the waves, we'll swamp. But why am I telling you? You must know all that. You're 2 years older than I am.
Which means I've already forgotten a lot that you haven't learned yet. That was our usual way of joking, and we needed something to get through the next few days. The boat heaved and bucked all day and all night. I thought it would fall apart. Then finally, it was quiet. I was sleeping when I heard the engine shut off. John and I rushed on deck. GP was asleep over the wheel. We were safe.
Well, we rode out the storm, but we're not in good shape, kids. We're almost out of gas, the radio is out, the rudder is bent, and I don't know where we are. We'll have to just drift till we get our bearings and hold on to that precious fuel.
I did send out an SOS before the radio went dead, Grandpa.
Good boy. Then there's hope. And plenty of fish in the sea.
We drifted a long time before we spotted land. It was a small island in the distance. We cheered, but too soon.
That's no good. We're going to drift right past. Fire off a signal flare.
I see people on the beach.
Well, let's drop anchor and break out the rubber raft. At the very least, we might get fresh water.
All set. Do we all go, Grandpa?
We can't leave anyone on a crippled boat. Suppose the anchor doesn't hold and it drifts off. We'll take our diving gear and hope the natives are friendly.
That was another joke that turned out to be unfunny. No sooner did we push off in the raft than we were surrounded by sharks. On shore, the people seemed to be greatly excited. So was I.
Paddle smoothly, don't splash. Sharks are unpredictable. Perhaps they're just curious.
They're circling us, as if they expect something.
To eat?
My paddle! Let go!
Sit tight. Here comes a boat from shore.
Some boat. It's an outrigger canoe. Grandpa, did the storm blow us to the South Pacific?
No way, but there are uncharted islands in South American waters that might have primitive populations, and we might just have found one.
The native boat drew near, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Sharks came from all over, half leaping from the water, and the natives were throwing chunks of meat and fish to them, feeding them. What would happen next? Would the sharks drag all of us into the water? No. The men threw smaller scraps out to sea, and the sharks surged after them like fetching dogs. And then we were being towed to shore.
Grandpa, what kind of sharks are those?
The kind to make a marine biologist retire. I don't know what we've stumbled into, kids, but keep calm and just follow their lead.
Soon we were ashore, surrounded by pointing, laughing natives. They were dressed scantily, as people are everywhere at the beach, but they jabbered in a language I knew I would never understand. I looked at GP.
They're Aborigines. We'll have a hard time communicating.
You'll have all the time in the world to learn how.
We whirled. A bald-bearded man was coming toward us, hand extended.
Harold Smith, friends. Like yourselves, a castaway on this incredible island.
Well, I'm George Popkin, and these are my grandchildren, Jennifer and John. Where are we? What kind of place is this?
A lost world. In some ways, an island paradise. In fact, you might be happy to spend the rest of your days here were it not for...
Not for what? Don't be so mysterious.
Well, the people are friendly and generous. But, you'll see for yourselves anyway. They're shark worshippers.
What?
What do they do?
They feed the brutes to keep 'em happy. In a way, the sharks protect 'em by keeping outsiders away. Then I guess in learning to live with the horrible creatures, over the years these people have adapted their lives to the rhythms of the sharks.
Very poetic, but what exactly are you saying?
Let's not upset the youngsters. Let us simply say that they have some ceremonies that are not to my liking. And I would give anything to get away from this cursed place.
I was amazed to see the man suddenly so emotional. Then I became aware of a ring of islanders staring at us. They came closer, and they seemed to be looking particularly at me. They smiled, and I was terrified.
Smith, what are they saying?
How can I tell you? It's what I've been dreading for myself. If only you hadn't arrived at the time of the full moon, the time of their sacrifice to the great white shark.
Oh, no! No!
We won't let them take you, Jen.
They'll kill us all then, and feed us to their sacred monster.
They took our spear guns, but we still have our scuba gear. We'll swim for our ship.
Don't. The islanders will get you. They swim like fish, or the sharks.
Gramps?
Easy, honey. We must plan calmly. The first thing to do in a sea of sharks is hang loose and watch carefully. Tell me exactly what'll happen, Smith.
I was numb with shock. Dimly, I could hear the bearded man telling Gramps about the ceremony under the full moon. Drums? A raft of flowers to carry the human sacrifice? Me? I realized I was thinking of GP as Gramps, something I hadn't called him since I was a baby. Then the women were coming for me. I followed Gramps' orders and went with them quietly. They put flowers in my hair. I sat motionless. I kept my mind on Gramps and John and the other man. I knew that as soon as the sun went down, they would be slipping into their scuba gear. The man Smith would be wearing mine. Drums began to beat hypnotically. I could almost feel the great sharks begin to surge through the water. I was in the middle of a raft floating away from shore. Canoes were following, filled with the islanders. They were singing and beating their drums. In the moonlight, I could see fins cutting the water all about me. I was icy cold. I forced my mind to think of 3 scuba divers swimming silently toward the ship I could see a couple of 100 yards to my left. Surely, all the sharks must be around me. Don't splash, John. You must reach the ship. The drums and chants seemed to be louder. Then they stopped. A giant fin was circling me. A giant shape broke the surface of the water, and I was looking at a cave lined with teeth-like icicles. The drums began again, and the huge fin circled. I felt my mind begin to swim in a lazy circle. I could feel nothing. Dimly, I heard an engine come to life. Then I heard the natives screaming, and our ship was coming toward us, veering crazily. Gramps was trying to steer with a bent rudder. The sea lab plowed into the outriggers and turned toward my raft, out of control. On the other side of me, the great shark was leaping from the water right at me. He seemed as big as the sea lab. I dove for the water. Behind me, the raft shattered as the monstrous shark landed on it. I felt my arm grabbed into a steel grip, and I screamed. Then Gramps was pulling me into a shark-proof cage. He slammed the door just as the raging shark crashed into the bars. The cage was rising out of the water. The shark leaped again. He was being cheated out of his sacrifice. I collapsed into Gramps' arms on deck and didn't see the crazed monster turn on his worshippers.
Mr. Smith, gun the engine and just keep her going till we're out of gas.
Aye, aye, sir.
Look, the sea is all red.
We didn't drift long. Mr. Smith turned out to be a radio man, and we were soon able to call for help. Now we're headed for home. End of log.
Done, Jen? How do you feel?
Fine, Gramps.
Boy, were we lucky.
We certainly were.
I mean, we were lucky Jen didn't look too tasty to that sacred shark, so we had time to save her.
I'm gonna smash him, GP.
Oh, back to GP. Good. Home we go.